Hey lovers of product, I'm here today with Mike Profit from Workwave. Mike has a very interesting background from a Ph.D. in biology to running product at a mix of different marketplaces, supply chain, mobile, security. So tell us a little bit about your background.
So I've been doing product now for 20 years and a number of West Coast companies, East Coast companies and European companies. And really what drove me into that space was really wanting to make a difference, really trying to make products more effective and beneficial for their end target audience. The Ph.D. in Entomology sometimes comes up as an interesting way how I got into product. And it's that balance of the science and understanding of what problem is that you're actually trying to solve, but also a lot of soft elements to that where you don't always have all the data you need to be able to make decisions. And biology is very much like that, where you're trying to figure out how do you actually solve a problem without too much information, but be effective and be decisive in what you do. And that's really been the path that I've done over the last 20 years, starting out as a junior product manager and then just taking on more senior roles as I've progressed throughout my career.
So you've spoken a lot about building high-performing product organizations. Let's talk about that for a little bit today. In particular, let's start with a high level, roles and responsibilities, how you build out the organization, what skill sets you're looking for.
Sure. So for me, it's very, very important that you have clear roles and responsibilities within a product organization. The introduction of Agile into technology companies over the last 20 years has kind of changed the way that product really needs to go and get done effectively. One of the challenges with Agile is you need to be creating user stories on a very frequent basis. You need to have a very high level of engagement with the engineers. And having a product manager who's trying to do that, as well as look at the larger, broader market problems that they're trying to solve, can cause a conflict in how effective that product manager can actually be. So the creation of the product owner role has been very, very important to ensure that Agile is successful. One of the key points to me when I'm building out an organization is to make sure we actually separate those roles clearly, where a product manager is focused more on the strategy, working on the roadmaps, looking at where we actually need to take the product to be successful in the marketplace, but then having that product owner working with those engineers on a daily basis. In my organizations, the product owner reports up to the product manager, and that's very effective for an ownership and accountability perspective. The product manager is ultimately responsible for that particular product. But making sure that you're aligned tightly with the engineering teams is obviously key, because at the end of the day, you're looking to ship product, and you're looking to ship the right product at the right time. And then where we've seen a unique change, particularly with just my experience over the last few years, is really around user experience and user interface design and how that plays into that model. For me, the UX teams are absolutely critical to be aligned with the product management and the product owners. When I first joined Workwave, the UX team were actually aligned with the engineers. The challenge with that is by the time the requirements come through and the UX team get to work on it, the engineers are almost done. So you need to move that UX function way more upstream so you can do much more user research, you can focus on the user personas, and you can really then make sure that you're just really understanding the problem space much more effectively than many tech companies do, which is to often build a technology product and then go find the problem to actually solve. Those companies generally are not successful.
I like that story. Let's talk a little bit more about product managers and their attributes. What do you look for and what isn't important to you?
What isn't important to me is domain expertise. I've worked, as you mentioned earlier, in supply chain, security, mobile messaging, many other industries. A good product manager can figure those out. You go in, you ask the right questions, you can understand the dynamics, and actually having somebody who doesn't have domain expertise can often bring a lot of value to those discussions because they're looking at the problems with a fresh set of eyes. What is really important to me is passion. Anybody who's going to be successful in product has to really care, has to really want to be able to make that difference. And so that's particularly what I look for when I'm hiring a product manager.
So let's talk a little bit about focus. We talked about the organization. Talk to me about focus and how that changes as the product organization grows and the company grows.
So there's a couple of different ways that I really look at that. So one of which is where the product is in the product lifecycle. If you have a very mature legacy product, as we do at Workwave with our flagship product, that needs a lot of different management. You have technical debt that you need to go and manage. You have a diverse customer base. that may have grown over a lot of time. And it's interesting when you've got customers who've been with a product, in our case, over 20 years, whenever you change that product, it causes a lot of disruption in their organizations, particularly with our products that are used by almost every different function within our customer base. And so you need to be able to structure the teams and make sure you're using prioritization criteria that may be different to a new product, for example, that you're bringing to market. We launched a new product called Workwave Service about 6 months ago, and that didn't have an embedded user base, obviously. We were going after fresh new markets that were adjacent verticals to our existing ones. And so we really needed to go and structure the team to be agile, with a small a, to be basically small. We can go and get new features and functions out there and iterate very, very quickly on those. And so we structured the team a little bit differently, a lot lighter, fewer development resources, fewer QA, and a smaller product management team, so that we could go and make those changes effectively and quickly. And we've been very successful with that model.
So let's talk about you for a little bit. What are you most proud of?
For me, it's really building successful product organizations that are sustaining long after I leave. Some of that is the personal development of a product manager. I have one former colleague at Symantec, where I ran a business unit, and he had come in, wanted to make the change as a quality engineer into product. Now, typically that's an unusual career shift, but he was very passionate. As a QA engineer, he'd seen a lot of the frustrations that the customers had in the products, and he was frustrated that the product teams weren't making the right decisions. Being able to train him, bring him in successfully, give him the right tools to be successful, was really a real pleasure for me to see. And subsequently, he's gone out to now be a senior product leader over at Akamai, which is fantastic for me. Seeing those people progress and continue their careers in an area that's really, really important to them.
That's awesome. That's a great story. So what, on the other side of things, what keeps you up at night? What worries you?
So often in product, people worry about competitors. I've never worried about competitors. That's something that I don't like to chase. I like to think that we're differentiating ourselves with the value that we do. For me, one of the things that worries me a little bit is the scalability of the product. When you've got a SaaS product and you're rolling it out there, you want to make sure that you're building the right infrastructure and you're solving the right solutions that are going to be there for years to come. And Workwave has gone through that, where we've grown very, very significantly, very, very fast, and making sure that our Amazon Web Services instances are scalable. They're able to respond to the change in load as we aggressively signed up many new customers, has been something that we've worked on. And now I feel we're in a much better place, and I do sleep a little bit better around that now.
That's great. I've heard a lot from, it's the things they can't control, a lot of the external infrastructure, scale, uptime that tends to keep people up.
Absolutely.
So it's a common story. So one final question, 3 words to describe yourself.
I think it's really passionate, driven, and very loyal. Those are the 3 things that I kind of really try to use as my guiding principles in all the decisions that I do, and really try to impart that on my teams that I build up.
Awesome. Thank you. This is great.
Thank you very much.